Okay, so ever wonder what really goes on behind the scenes in a medical lab? Like, what do those folks actually do all day?
Yeah, it's kind of a hidden world, isn't it?
Totally. And since you're thinking about a career as a medical lab manager, we figured why not do a deep dive into RoleCatcher's guide? They go dup on this stuff.
They really do. It's super comprehensive.
Get ready for some serious insights, because I'm telling you, it's way more than just like microscopes and test tubes.
You got that right. Most people, they think healthcare, they picture doctors, nurses.
Yeah.
Right. But the medical laboratory manager, that's the unsung hero.
Yeah.
You know, making sure all those test results, the ones that are like crucial for patient care, they're accurate, they're delivered on time.
Hmm.
It's a big deal.
Okay, so walk me through this. When we say day-to-day life in the lab, what are we actually talking about? Paint me a picture.
Imagine a symphony orchestra, right? They're about to launch into this super complex piece. Got that image?
Got it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, swap the musicians for scientists and technicians. The instruments, those are like the high-tech equipment they're using.
Okay, I'm following.
And the conductor.
Yeah.
That's our medical laboratory manager. They're the ones juggling everyone's schedules, making sure all that equipment is calibrated, humming along, and don't even get me started on a mountain of safety protocols.
Oh, whoa. That's way more intense than I pictured, honestly. So they need to be like organization gurus and have a serious science background.
You nailed it.
I'm guessing the guide goes into detail on that, right?
Absolutely. They actually break it down 61%. That's how much of a lab manager's core responsibilities directly rely on that scientific know-how. But, and this is where it gets interesting, it takes more than just being a science whiz.
Ooh, a plot twist. All right, you've got my attention. What else is crucial for success in this kind of role?
You might be surprised to hear how much of this job is people skills and communication. Like really top-notch communication.
Right.
Yeah. The guide specifically calls out reading comprehension, active listening, and get this, even customer service as essential for a medical laboratory manager.
Hold up, customer service. In a lab? That was not on my bingo card today. Who are they providing customer service to?
Think about it. They're not just hanging out with test tubes all day. These managers, they're the point of contact for doctors, nurses, sometimes even patients. Everyone's relying on them to translate those complex medical results clearly,
Yeah.
but also with empathy.
Okay, yeah, that also makes a lot of sense. It's like this fascinating mix of hardcore technical stuff, but also being able to connect with people, build those relationships.
Exactly, you got it.
Talk about a high-pressure balancing act.
Yeah, no kidding.
Speaking of pressure, I do appreciate that the guide didn't shy away from the potential downsides, too. You know?
Right, you need the full picture to really decide if it's the right fit for you, right?
100%. So lay it on me, pros and cons, what they highlight.
Let's start with the good stuff. Job security in this field, excellent. Earning potential, very strong.
Always music to a job seeker's ears. But there's gotta be a but coming.
There is. The guide's pretty upfront about the downsides. Long hours, for sure. High-stress situations, that's part of the deal. And you constantly need to stay updated. Technology, procedures, everything in the field is always evolving, so you got to keep learning.
Definitely not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Nope.
But it does sound like if you thrive under pressure and you're passionate about that impact you're having, like you're a vital part of the healthcare system, right? This could be incredibly rewarding. So let's say someone's hearing all this and they're like, sign me up. What does the career path even look like? Where do aspiring medical lab managers, where do they usually even begin?
It usually starts with a role as a medical laboratory technician.
Okay, so starting at the ground floor, working your way up, makes sense. What does that actually look like day to day, though?
So picture this. Our aspiring lab manager, fresh out of school, maybe a little nervous,
Oh, yeah.
but eager to learn.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Exactly. They'd likely be doing routine tests, all under supervision, of course, really getting a feel for the lab environment and just how crucial precision is. One tiny error could have huge consequences.
No pressure, though, right?
Right. But seriously, that starting point, it's all about mastering those technical skills, learning the ropes, building that foundation. Then you go from there.
So where do you go from there? What's the next step up?
Usually it's junior medical laboratory technologist. Now, our aspiring manager, they're handling more complex tests, maybe even supervising newer techs coming in. Responsibilities are starting to grow.
More autonomy, for sure, but also more pressure. They're making bigger decisions, taking on a bit of a leadership role.
Exactly. It's all about proving you can handle it. And if they crush it at that level, Next stop could be senior medical laboratory technologist.
Ooh, getting serious.
Now things get really interesting because they're diving deeper into management,
Hmm.
overseeing day-to-day operations, maybe even training new staff, making sure the whole lab runs like a well-oiled machine.
So it becomes less about being like the technical expert and more about thinking strategically,
Hmm.
managing resources, mentoring, all those skills you need at the top.
You've got it.
Yeah.
And of course, the ultimate goal for many is landing that medical laboratory manager role.
The big one.
The guide paints a picture of someone who's not just overseeing operations, but shaping them, developing lab policies, managing budgets, making sure everything's compliant with a zillion regulations.
Yeah.
It's a seriously multifaceted role.
Wow. Talk about a career trajectory. You start by mastering those essential technical skills, but to climb that ladder, you need to layer on management experience, leadership qualities, and just a deep understanding of how the whole healthcare system fits together.
It's a lot.
It's impressive. But let's get real for a sec. It's a competitive job market out there. Are there specific certifications or qualifications that can help someone stand out, from the crowd?
There are. The guide actually goes into detail on several. Two of the big ones you'll see are the Medical Laboratory Scientist, or MLS, certification, and the Clinical Laboratory Scientist, or CLS, certification. Those are pretty standard in this field.
So if you've got those on your resume, it's like a signal to potential employers. Hey, I've got the knowledge, I've got the skills to meet those industry standards.
Like a stamp of approval. I know what I'm doing here. But the guide also points out some other certifications that can give you an edge, like the Medical Laboratory Technician, or MLT certification. There's one from the American Society for Clinical Pathology, or ASCP.
Wow, they're really going all in on the acronyms today.
And the Medical Technologist, MT certification. Any of those on your resume just shows that you're committed to that professional development. You're not just resting on your laurels.
It's about going that extra mile, right? It's not just having the degree, but actively seeking out those extra credentials that really say, look, I'm passionate about this field. I want to learn and grow.
Exactly. And while we're talking about gaining an advantage, the guide also emphasizes networking as a key strategy for growth.
Of course. Networking is huge in any industry, but what does that look like specifically for someone hoping to be a medical laboratory manager?
Conferences. Conferences are a goldmine. You've got to get yourself out there. Joining professional organizations, that's another smart move. Groups like the National Accrediting Agency for Clinical Laboratory Sciences, the American Society for Microbiology, the American Medical Technologists, the American Association of Bioanalysts. Those are all great places to connect with people in the field.
Yeah, because in networking, it really is about building those relationships, learning from the people who've been there, done that. So much happens in those informal conversations.
Couldn't agree more. Now, shifting gears a bit to the practical side of the job search, the guide also suggests tapping into platforms like RoleCatcher to really refine your strategy.
All right, let's talk tech. I'm always interested in how we can use technology to kind of get ahead in our careers.
Yeah.
What does RoleCatcher bring to the table?
Well, they've developed this AI-powered platform that is seriously cool. It digs into job descriptions, pulls out the exact skills employers are looking for, then compares those to your CV and basically highlights any gaps.
Whoa, hold on. So that's like having a secret weapon to decode what employers actually want, even if they don't spell it out directly in the job posting, right?
God.
Because let's be honest, those applicant tracking systems, the ATS, they're like the gatekeepers of the hiring world.
For real.
So being able to use a tool like that to your advantage, I mean, that's huge.
Data-driven job searching. That's where it's at.
Love it. So you're not just sending your resume into this black hole anymore. You're strategically tailoring it for each application.
Exactly. And speaking of data-driven decisions, RoleCatcher doesn't stop there. They also have interview prep tools that are next level. They've got this database, right? Over 120,000 interview questions, all tailored to specific roles, so you can practice answering questions that are actually likely to come up in a real interview for this exact position.
No way. So it's like having a personalized mock interview with a career coach, but you can do it from your couch in your pajamas.
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
And it's not just about practicing the answers either. You can actually record yourself answering, and their AI will analyze it and give you feedback on your performance.
Get out of here. That's incredible.
Oh, and I almost forgot. They even have this browser plugin, RoleCatcher.capture, and you can use it to save job postings from, like, any job board you're on, and then it organizes them all visually within RoleCatcher.
Talk about streamlining the entire process. And it makes this really important point that we've been kind of circling. AI is changing the game when it comes to recruitment.
It's a game changer, for sure. And those who don't adapt, they risk getting left behind.
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
Because while this guide gives incredible insights into what it takes to be a medical laboratory manager right now, it makes you wonder, how will AI change what future lab managers need to, like, really thrive?
Yeah.
It's not just about mastering the job as it exists today, but kind of anticipating what's coming next.
Mind
Right.
blown. That is such a crucial point, honestly. Okay, so imagine me, years down the line, I'm rocking the medical laboratory manager role. I aced my certifications. I'm thinking the MLS. Gotta have that stamp of approval. I'm killing it at conferences. My LinkedIn is like on fire. But AI is now a core part of the job, not just something I used to, get my foot in the door. What does that look like? What's changed?
Million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, the guide already touches on some aspects that are becoming reality. Like, remember how we were talking about those high-tech instruments, the need for constant calibration? Well, imagine AI taking an even bigger role in that, monitoring those systems, maybe even flagging potential problems before they even come up,
Yeah.
optimizing performance in ways that humans just wouldn't catch.
So instead of just managing the equipment, I'm managing the AI that's managing the equipment.
Exactly.
It's like having a super smart assistant who, like, never takes a coffee break.
Exactly. And then think about all the data a lab generates. Patient records, test results, inventory, all of it. AI is a beast when it comes to analyzing these huge data sets, right? Spotting patterns, maybe even predicting potential outbreaks or trends in diseases.
Okay, so now I'm not just a manager, I'm like a data detective.
Hmm.
I'm using AI to unlock these insights from all this information, maybe even contributing to, like, public health initiatives or research. This is way cooler than I initially pictured.
Right. It takes the impact to a whole new level. But here's the flip side. You got to be comfortable with that technology.
Yeah, makes sense.
Knowing how to interpret those AI-generated reports, understanding the limitations, because it's not perfect, right? At least not yet.
Yeah.
And making those judgment calls, those moments when the data is ambiguous,
It's like that saying, with great power
comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I'm seeing this future where the best medical laboratory managers, they're not intimidated by AI. They're fluent in it. They're using it as a tool to, like, elevate their own skills and decision making.
100%. And think about this. As labs become even more reliant on AI, the need for ethical oversight, it grows exponentially.
Ooh, that's a whole other layer. Tell me more.
We're talking algorithms that can impact patient diagnoses, treatment plans, even resource allocation within a hospital. The guide really emphasizes that future lab managers, they need to be well-versed in the ethical considerations of using AI in healthcare, making sure these systems are unbiased, transparent, and ultimately serving the best interests of the patients.
So it's not just about being, like, tech savvy. It's about being ethically minded. It's about being a leader who understands the power of this technology, but also the potential pitfalls and making sure it's being used responsibly. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
And honestly, it highlights something really important about this guide. It's not just about checking boxes, get this degree, get that certification. It's about embracing lifelong learning.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So even after you've landed that dream job, the learning never stops, especially in a field that's evolving as rapidly as this one.
Right. The most successful lab managers, the ones in the future, they're going to be the ones who are constantly curious, constantly seeking out new information, new skills, new ways to apply these technologies.
It's about being adaptable, being open to change, and never getting complacent. And hey, if there's one thing this deep dive has taught me, it's that the world of medical laboratory management is anything but complacent.
It's dynamic, it's challenging, but it's playing an increasingly vital role in how healthcare is delivered.
And to bring it back to RoleCatcher, it sounds like their platform, especially those AI-powered tools, could be invaluable for anyone who's serious about a career in this field. It's not just about landing the job, but staying ahead of the curve once you're there, too.
Absolutely. Like, their interview prep tools can help you nail those tough questions, maybe about your experience with AI or ethics. And using their platform to analyze job descriptions can really give you a sense of how the skills and qualifications for these roles are already changing.
It's like having your finger on the pulse of the profession. Speaking of which, we've covered a ton of ground here. The day-to-day realities, the potential impact of AI. But before we wrap up, there's one more thing I'm curious about. The actual work environment.
Ah, yes, the nitty-gritty.
Right.
Well, you can imagine a medical lab. It's fast-paced, it's detail-oriented.
No room for error. I can only imagine the level of, like, concentration required. So it's probably pretty quiet, serious atmosphere, right?
You might be surprised. While accuracy is, like paramount, of course.
Hmm.
A lot of lab professionals describe the work environment as surprisingly collaborative.
Really?
Yeah, they're constantly consulting with colleagues, troubleshooting issues, sharing knowledge, especially when those complex cases land on their bench.
Okay, so it's not just silently staring into microscopes all day.
Not at all.
There's a real team spirit. What about the physical space itself? I'm picturing like sterile white walls, those flickering fluorescent lights.
Not quite. While cleanliness is crucial, we're dealing with biological materials. After all, modern labs, they're designed to be more ergonomic, a little more visually appealing. Think natural light, comfy workstations, even some splashes of color to break up the monotony.
A lab with good vibes, I love it. So it's a place where precision meets passion, where the scientific rigor goes hand in hand with a genuine desire to like make a difference in people's lives. It's more than just a job, it's a calling.
Well said. And for those who are drawn to that calling, who thrive on that challenge of blending their scientific expertise with leadership, a deep commitment to those ethical considerations, the future of medical laboratory management, it's bright. It's incredibly bright.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Honestly, I'm feeling super inspired right now.
Me too. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
So, for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, I'm in, what's like the key takeaway, the thing you want them to walk away with?
Don't just chase the job title. Chase the passion. If you're genuinely excited by science, if you're a natural problem solver, if you love the idea of leading a team
Mhm.
and you're really committed to that ethical, patient-centered care, this could be it. This could be the field for you.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your skills, your interests, all of that aligns with a profession that's really making a difference.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
don't forget, this landscape is like constantly evolving,
Right.
especially as AI becomes more common.
Right.
Embrace that change, stay curious, never stop learning, and you'll be in a great spot. You'll be positioned to thrive in this field, and it really is rewarding.
This deep dive has been, honestly, it's been eye-opening, to say the least. We've gone from like the day-to-day stuff to the huge impact of AI on the future of the whole profession. I'm walking away with a whole new appreciation, I'm not gonna lie, for all those behind-the-scenes heroes we've been talking about.
Me too. They really are the unsung heroes of healthcare.
For anyone listening who's, maybe thinking about taking the leap, exploring a career as a medical laboratory manager, RoleCatcher's Guide seems like a great place to start.
Definitely.
And hey, even if you're not considering a career change right now, this deep dive, it's given us all a glimpse into a world we don't often get to see.
It's a good reminder that healthcare is a team effort, and those lab professionals, they're a vital part of that team.
Absolutely. So here's to the medical lab managers of today and tomorrow. Thank you for all you do.
Cheers to that.
And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.